course, we are still in the infancy of really deep learning AI and large language models, and it really can only get better from here. But from what I've seen so far, and my honest take on it is that there is potential within AI for content creation. The content that it creates is amazing for AI. I think if you were to objectively take a step back and look at it and ask, if you didn't know it didn't come from AI and you thought it came from a human, and you were to ask if that content was really good, I think the vast majority of us would say no. That's where I'm at with it right now. I think it's a tool, just like any other tool. I don't think it's the end all be all solution, and I don't think it's a replacement for people. B2B podcasting is still completely overlooked by the vast majority of B2B companies and B2B content marketers as well. There's so much opportunity, especially finding your audience, filling a gap in knowledge, adding to your content mix. There are so many potential opportunities that are being overlooked. Amy, as you mentioned, repurposing of content, getting more assets out of that. It's just such a gold mine of great content. And I think people are starting to become more curious about it. I don't think the adoption is necessarily mainstream just yet, but there is just so much opportunity, especially since if you look at every single podcast statistic right now, even just across the board with Edison Research's Infinite Dial report, which just came out back in March, podcast listening across the board is at an all-time high right now. And it's reaching more people than it ever has in the history of podcasting.
One of our guests, Tom McGrath, from a company called Next Thing, he said something really interesting. So we were talking about AI and the tools. He said, the more written content isn't made by individual content creators, the less people will be interested in consuming written content. So we'll feel a degree of increased disinterest and hostility towards being fed something that's written by AI, and we'll look for the human behind the content.
It's a really interesting perspective, and I hadn't thought about it from that angle before, about the hostility angle, but I have thought about it from just the glut of content perspective, where everybody's publishing content, everybody's talking about the same things. There's so much duplicate content already that just adding AI and churning out content on top of it. Not that every business is going to do this or every B2B content strategist is going to do this, but there are going to be people out there who are like, great, I can just publish whatever I want, whenever I want, because I can have AI do it for me.